in the archives. I've been with the lead investigator because that's where we took those documents. And I also have a bunch here of 57 memos and reports on affecting my testimony so far that I would also like to tender.
What are those records about?
The reports, reports and memos.
Okay.
That supports the deliberations that we have had so far.
We apply to tender the Director of, a member from the Director of Finance to the CEO. With respect to staff rotation, we also apply to tender a letter addressed to the Accountant General with the hearing request for IFMIS on one-day refresher session. The 2019 B.C.C staff loans breakdown and the 2020 staff loans breakdown to be admitted into evidence and marked as exhibit.
I also have a last one, CFRO, the payment plan agreed for the vehicles, the communication 3 years ago.
You mean the arrangement you were
Yes.
trying to do?
Yeah, exactly.
In relation to the vehicles?
Yeah, to the vehicles. Can you just staple it for me? Give it to him.
A memo dated the 17th of January 2021, it is addressed to the CEO and it emanated from the Director of Finance. It has the subject staff rotation. It is copied to the Mayor, Acting Director of Administration, Director of Finance. Mr. Momodou Camara for CEO Banjul City Council. It is copied to the Mayor, CEO, Director of Finance, Acting Admin Director, all directors, and the file copy is maintained. This and the 2020 Banjul City Council staff loans breakdown and the 2019 B.C.C staff loans breakdown. These documents are admitted together in a bundle as exhibit in evidence, and they are marked as LGC/BCC/MC in brackets 1/017.
As the Commission places. Now, Mr. Camara, for the rest of the documents, will be sorted out with Mr. Camara of the Commission, the registrar, so that we will have a cover note for the ones that would be needed.
Fair enough.
Considering the period under review.
Consideration. Okay.
2018 to 2023.
Thank you.
So I will leave it here. but there's one document in it. It is dated the 10th of January 2024 with the topic revenue suppression, illegal invoicing, and lack of adherence to the Local Government Act and a financial and accounting manual for local government authorities.
Yes.
9. Even though the date is January 2024, Honorable Chairperson, the content touched a lot on the revenue collection and the actions of Momodou, Acting Trade License Manager, and Advisor to Council, Mr. Makumba Sane, with respect to allegations of illegally acquiring invoice books to clandestinely start invoicing without following due process. It is relevant, Honorable Chairperson, because we have received evidence of that sort over the previous years, 2023, 2022, for Makumba Sane's participation in revenue collection. This, even though it's 2024, I will respectfully urge the Chairperson to admit it that it will aid the Commission in understanding the activities of Makumba Sane and Momodou. I apply to tender this document to evidence and marked as an exhibit.
And the supporting documents to that effect, to that letter are here. The supporting documents that should go with that letter are here. A specimen is just a selection of some of those invoices.
All right. Honorable Chairperson, there are invoices issued to the following businesses: Laura's Food, we have EM Textiles, Are these separate invoices?
Yeah, they are. Individually, it's an invoice to separate businesses.
What I mean is, I see EM Textiles with several invoices. Are they the same?
Yes, same business. If a vendor like EM Textile,
Yes.
if EM Textile is a general trader
Yes.
and has some stores, some warehouses, so those are all components, separate components that are invoiced.
Okay.
Yep.
We have 10 invoices for Laura Food, and AM Textile we have 8. So, Mr. Camara, just one question for the purpose of clarity. All these 8 copies are different
Yeah,
invoices?
yeah, different components of the Laura investment.
Okay.
Yep.
Chairperson, to be admitted into evidence and marked as exhibit together with the letter from the Director of Finance in relation to the activities of Makuba Sane and the acting license manager.
Yep.
Momodou.
Thank you.
A memo dated the 10th of January 2024, it is addressed to the CEO and it emanated from the Director of Finance. It has the caption, Revenue Suppression, Illegal Invoicing and Lack of Adherence to the Local Government Act and Financial and Accounting Manual for Local Government Authorities, 2009. And accompanying this memo is Laura Food Company invoices amounting to 10 and AM Textile invoices amounting to 8. These documents are admitted together in a bundle as exhibit in evidence and they are marked as LGC/BCC/MC in bracket 1/018.
As the Commission places. Now, the allegations are that the two of them will be issuing illegal invoices.
Yes, the allegations are, I told them I've been Director of Finance for 2 years.
Yes.
And then the system that I found there, I was studying the system.
Yes.
Although I didn't tickle with the system to rotate the staff.
Right.
And then bringing the consultant and all that, and the revenue have significantly improved.
Right.
But still, I want to get to the bottom of it because I am of the opinion that the revenue I inherited with the 65 million, we can double it. We can get 120 million. And en route to that, I told them this coming year, 2024, no invoice is going to happen. I will leave it to the CEO to nominate a team of 4 competent people.
Okay.
To register.
Yes.
All businesses in Banjul. After registration, then we can do valuation, and then invoicing, and then collecting the revenue.
Revenue, yes.
When I told them my plans, the following day, war broke loose at B.C.C. That's when I was subjected to the police arrest. I was also subjected to order coercion, and then the management with Katim Ture in the lead even came to my door to break the door. At the last minute when they wanted to break my door and took those books.
In the office?
Yes, that's when a call came from the mayoress that anybody who touches that door will go to jail. You people are That's out of hand. So they took me out, but they couldn't wait. Even when we were trying to organize things, whether I'll be terminated or whatever's going to happen, they illegally didn't surrender the 2023 leftover invoice books that were pre-signed in 2023. You can see those invoices. My signature is on it. They impersonated it. They took those residue of books, went into the field, started doing what they used to do, and they said they've taken all my powers. I'm not going to be involved in any invoicing or whatever. I said, but I'm the director of finance.
Who was doing this?
Bacheli. Bacheli is the leader.
Together with?
With Makumba.
Makumba Sane?
Yes, Makumba Sane.
Who else? Do you know?
Katim Ture.
Katim Ture.
Yusufa Diallo. All the management and the new internal auditor that we hired. Because for us, we hired management or the mayorist.
Who is the new internal the auditor, the director?
Sana Sawane.
Sana Sawane.
Yes, but they hired him because what they did to the internal auditor, Abdullah J. Kaur.
Yes.
And prior to Abdullah J. Kaur, the deputy CEO that was there,
Yes.
Fatal.
Yes.
So for them, anybody who does not belong to their grouping or cabal, you have to count your days in B.C.C.
It's a problem.
Yeah, it's a problem. So when that happened, they also put the new internal auditor, who for 1 minute, Bacheli never found the time. Whenever there is time for the shortlisting, the interview, because with the with the local service commission, when they are hiring, the council that they are hiring the personnel for must have an observatory status, and if need be, contribute to the debate.
Yes.
Bacheli was sending me all along to go and attend for the hiring of this new internal auditor. But in the first place, we had an internal auditor who has no working background in audit. And again, coming to the zone that he came, B.C.C., when the guy came, it took him 1 month. And instead of concentrating on the job that brought him to council, giving us that oversight guarantee that I even enjoyed very well with the past internal auditor, because of the institutional memory and how good he is on these governing instruments. Despite my qualification, I always liaise with the internal auditor, but I found out that in council, although he has no master's degree, but he is a doyen of local service. But this new guy came, all he did was for the mayor to use him as a weapon against her perceived enemies, including me. Because even before anything happens, he subjected him 5 months. He was looking for even a comma that I have committed that was wrong.
How was he appointed? Do you know?
Yes, I know.
Please tell us.
Because the position was advertised.
It was advertised.
It was advertised, and he was in the UK. He saw the advert. He's 56 years old, and he said, "Let me pack and go back and apply." He came. He applied for other jobs, but this job at the local service commission, when it came, when we shortlisted them, we found out 2 of them were with master's degree. But for Sawane, he has no proven track record of working as an internal auditor or an auditor. So, but we bumped into it because we had the guy that came out first was taken to KMC, and he came out second and was brought to B.C.C. But fair enough, you can come and learn on the job. But what
do you know whether there is any relationship between the internal auditor and the CEO or the mayor?
That I cannot decorticate. What I can decorticate is the dump site. They started the war at the dump site. The person they brought was brought by the internal auditor. So that linkage is there. But when the guy back also, Kanye comes here, he will tell you how he's related to Sarah Sawane and how he's related to the mayor.
Of course.
Yes.
Now, with permission, I will read the memo you wrote on the 10th of January 2024 with the topic revenue suppression, illegal invoicing, and lack of adherence to the Local Government Act and Financial and Accounting Manual for Local Government Authorities 2009. It has been brought to my attention as Director of Finance that you, Mr. Momodou, Acting Trade License Manager and Advisor to Council, Mr. Makumba Sane, have illegally acquired invoice books to clandestinely start invoicing without following due process and processes, and also faulting my proposed the trade license payment chain life cycle, the TLPCLC procedures that will make sure that revenue leakages, revenue suppression, and revenue consolidation are stopped and enhanced in 2024. This will go a long way in solving all our financial woes moving forward. Remember, since I assumed this position, I am still struggling to settle down and do my job independently as mandated by the Local Government Act and its attendant legislations. It is also worth it to know that the office of the CEO is also an accomplice, as these circulated invoices are bearing his stamp. The gravity of your actions are there, as you have broken the law with your accomplices in the process, a matter I put the various stakeholders for their action and redress. The issues surrounding your actions are protracted, complicated, and far-reaching, meaning you are able to acquire invoice books, receipts, other revenue books without the approval and in the know of the Director of Finance and Head of Finance, who is your immediate supervisor. This poses the threat that you are also in charge of revenue earning books that is not registered and not in the control and in the know of the Director of Finance, who is supposed to be the custodian of these books as per financial accounting and accounting manual for local government authorities, 2009, in section and subsections 402, 405, and 406. You are acting trade license manager. You as acting trade license manager should not get directives and supervisory rules and orders from anywhere and anybody apart from the Director of Finance, as enshrined in the Financial and Accounting Manual for Local Government Authorities. Among others in the Act are clear for you to see. You are breaking the law as your actions to acquire revenue earning books not under the custody of the Director of Finance is a breach of the Act, and I hope we will get to the root causes and its compounding negative consequences on our council and its operations. I will advise you to desist from this exercise as soon as possible until you are given proper revenue earning books and with right protocols followed. The Director of Finance is your immediate supervisor and should approve that what you do and what system is in place in 2024 to do the needful in the revenue collection as in the trade license payment chain life cycle. I have also copied to you my last memo of our proposed and planned system this year is as follows. 1, registration of all businesses and vendors and orders. 2, assessment of all businesses and vendors and orders. 3, invoicing. Step 4, sending collectors into the field. I am of the conviction and commitment as Director of Finance to work with all departments and units in the Council for the attainment of these strategies, which will yield desired results for Banjul City Council, for better revenue mobilization and enhancement. Once again, please desist from your actions as acting trade license manager and wait for approval and order to proceed with our department's planned system of operation this year. This is an institution working on laws and country of laws, and please don't do things that will break the law and bring the department and the institution into disrepute. I wish you a pleasant day. And you wrote this and addressed it to the CEO?
Yes, and copy it.
You addressed it to the CEO,
yes,
right?
to the CEO, yes.
Yes, and did you, you are supposed to sign all the invoices as Director of Finance?
Yes.
How do you do invoicing as at the time you were there, actively participating as Director of Finance in relation to invoicing for license collection?
When the year starts, ideally when the year closes, we expect all of them to give us a report of what they've collected. And when the year starts, let's say the 15th of January,
yes,
I will sign 10 books, 10 invoice books.
10 invoice books?
Yes, I'll sign everything and stamp it with the Director of Finance stamp and hand them over to the trade license manager for for distribution among the staff that work under him, so that I give it to him. From there, he goes and do the invoicing. Once he does the invoicing, because the invoice books are in triplicate. Once he invoices, one copy is for retention of Director of Finance, one is for his retention, and one is for the file.
Yes.
So once he has done the invoicing, then the collectors will be sent to start collecting what he has invoiced.
Okay.
Yep.
And some will pay to the bank?
Some will?
Pay to the bank?
Yes. Because what I did when I went there, the big components,
Yes.
like the Q cells,
Right.
like the gum cells, the big corporate entities, I handle their invoicing directly, because I found they've been grossly under-invoiced. So, but what
How were they under-invoiced?
Yeah, because some components were not charged, because when I went to a case of study, it's like Q cell.
Yes.
What I inherited were they were paying $500,000
A year.
a year. So, but when I looked at the governing instrument, the Trade License Act, I called the manager to say that you are under invoicing many of these corporate businesses. And it was then I understood, looking at his background, because I pushed him many times to have his CV or qualification, I understood his limits. He's willing, but he's not capacitized.
How does that have to do with limits? How does it have to do with capacity? You think that's a genuine error to under-invoice?
Yeah, with the big business. If I finish, for instance, let's just go through the Q cell. Let's go through the Q cell.
Yes.
Q cell line. So I told him, you are invoicing 500,000. These people should be paying more than this. So we started looking at, me and him, we started looking at the act. He has a copy, I have a copy in my office. You should charge for this.
Do you have the copy with you now?
I have it in my laptop, but I don't have a hard copy.
You may make reference to your laptop, if,
Okay.
or unless you know how much they are supposed to pay.
Yes. So once we looked at it, we end up at 1 million. 1 million.
You may proceed.
Yeah. Once we looked at it, we end up at 1,200,000. And I told him, yes. I told him invoice. So he invoiced QCell instead of the traditional 500,000. We invoiced them 1.2 million. It went. After 2 days, Mohamed Jah himself appeared to council to say, I have seen our invoices have risen. That I said yes, because you are operating components that we were not charging you. And then he, being very business savvy, he told me, what are the components? Then we also gave him a copy of the Trade License Act, and we went to the component of the GSM, and we started itemizing it, and we banked on the 1.2 million. And he said, I concur, I'll pay tomorrow. So still coming back to buttress what I was saying, I understand his limitations, and all those businesses, all the big businesses.
What is complex in knowing how much someone should pay?
Yeah, if you look at the act like now.
Yes.
If you revisit this morning, me and you,
Yes.
if you take the car and take that invoice, A&M Textile, if you go to the gentleman now, we'll understand there are components that are not charged.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
It is clearly stated in
The act.
the
Yes,
act,
yes.
the licensing
Yes,
act.
yes, yes.
So what should be paid is very clear.
Yes.
In fact, it is as simple to understand as possible.
Yeah, but again, looking at sometimes with those A&M Textile and Co. Prior, you only used to charge them. You only used to charge them a general trader.
Yes.
Yes, you are a general trader, but you are also operating warehouses around Banjul.
Mr. Camara,
Yes.
You have been away for some time.
Yes.
You were not in the country for some time. For how long have you been away?
Away from the Gambia?
Yes.
6 years.
6 years.
Yes.
Where you living?
East London.
How long have you worked in the Gambia? When was your first employment, as in senior level employment?
2009.
2009.
Yep.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking this is because I would not think it is a genuine mistake to under-invoice.
No, what we are saying here, I buy your point, but if you
You know
look
what
at
my point is?
if you look at the act,
Yes.
if you look at the act, it must take somebody, yeah, some level of understanding about finance or law,
Right.
to be able to pin down the right categories, because some of these business people are very clever.
Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
Remember, there was a finance director before you.
Yes,
Is that not the case?
yes, that's true.
I'm not saying Mr. Momodou is has the capacity. He does not have the capacity.
Yep.
You understand that?
Yep.
Let me agree with you on that.
Yes.
But there's a finance director.
Yes,
Is that not the case?
That's true.
And there's a structure. Those people would have had the necessary qualifications. Is that not the case? Even if you review the revenue, the revenue lines, and you see how much the turnover and how much each had paid this major companies, it will be easily realized that XYZ company they are
underpaying.
They're underpaying.
Yes.
Someone must know.
Yes,
It's not rocket science.
That's
What you have discovered is not rocket science.
yes. But again, it also depends. It also depends on who the director of finance is.
That's what I'm saying.
Because some director of finance are laid back.
Not
Yes.
laid back. Corruption.
Yes, they sit there and they don't care.
They care. Corruption. They care about their pockets, because if, for instance, QCell is paying $500,000 and the Licenses Act is very clear as to how much, what the components are for an institution like that to pay what amount, then you can't go wrong on that. You get the point? That is
Yeah.
my issue. My
Yes.
issue is, even if the finance manager under invoice these companies, then it will be very easy for it to be detected at some point going up the ladder.
Yes, you see, one thing you have to understand with council. Councils are very organized clubs and kingdoms that if you come as a new person, if you want to force the change, you will pay the penalty for that change.
I am just saying
Yes, yes,
that what you have discovered
Yes.
and put in writing to address the situation
yes,
is a deliberate act.
yes,
That is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Because the idea is, for the most part of it, the idea is just you are to pay 1 million. You and I know you have to pay 1 million. Just give me $500,000. I'll give you an invoice of $500,000, and you give me $200,000, and I've saved you XYZ amount. That's how it works.
yes. But again, if people care about their job, they care about their legacy, they care about the job they do for this country, they will make sure the change is here. And
Most
then
don't.
again, if I were timid or if I didn't take up my responsibility, I would not have faced the storm. I would not have ride the tempest. But
That is why I'm agreeing.
Yes.
And that's why it is important for you to raise this, because we have had evidence that Makumba Sani had engaged, had asked you this yesterday,
Yes.
had engaged in several actions in relation to revenue collection.
Yes.
Do you understand that? Together with Momodou, we have
Yes.
had that evidence.
Yes.
And it's very clear.
Yes.
So they don't do it for fun. They don't do it just to support. You have seen financial transactions in Makumba Sani's accounts. Huge sums of money, way beyond what he can afford, with no explanation whatsoever. Do you understand that?
Yes.
So they don't do this by mistake. Everybody knows what they are doing.
Yes.
So it can be far more educated than them, but they know exactly how the state is being run.
Okay.
I can guarantee you that.
Okay.
Probably maybe better than you do, by far.
Yeah, because I took over the corporates, and then since then we've gotten a lot of money from the corporate businesses.
So and for just to exhaust this, was this issue solved?
No, it started the war, and that led me to be transferred.
All right. Now,
Sorry, let me just ask.
yes.
When you wrote this memo, Mr. Camara,
Yes.
Was there any response to this memo?
No. They don't-
You
they-
never received any
never,
response?
never, they never.
And you were never served any response from the CEO?
Nothing, not whatsoever. Instead, it was Tongo. They don't call me into their meetings anymore, and then,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Proceed.
Thank you, Chair. And the same will probably go for, you see, lot of food company and the amount of money they should pay. So there are businesses that would pay in cash?
Yes,
And this will be handled by the revenue collectors?
should be handled by revenue collectors.
And is there a review of all these businesses to see whether what their components are? I see as well for banks,
Yes.
there's an amount of money they should pay, and interestingly, it depends on the cashiers they have.
Yeah, yes, and the cashiers. But again, with the banks again, before I came, what I did, any bank that my collectors will come and tell me they have 4 cashiers, I'll invoice for 5, because there is bulk cash.
Yes.
Yes. So
There's bulk cash.
whatever number you give me as a direct fund, I add 1. And the banks, they don't complain. Once they see the invoice, they say they understand our
Now,
business.
how do you know that a bank has 3 cashiers? I know this may sound to be a very
Yes.
illogical question. There's a reason why I'm asking. How do you know?
Yeah, because the cashiers are visible.
No, they are not visible.
No, they are visible.
How are they visible?
They are there to serve the public.
So you see them.
Yes, you see
So
them.
as at the time you go,
Yes, if you go to Trust Bank, you will
Yes.
count. They even label them. Cashier number 16. So you know there are 16 kiosks and bulk cash, making 17 kiosks. But again, the act stops at 5. Maximum is 5, and that's $500,000. That's 500,000.
maximum is 5 cashiers.
Yes, 5
So
cashiers.
they can't have more than 5 cashiers.
No, if they have more than 5, the 5 is not
5
counted.
and above.
Yeah, if you have 2 cashiers, it's about 250,000. If you have 3 cashiers, but for me, if they bring the records to say 2 cashiers, I say no, it's 3. There is bulk cash.
Let me repeat.
Yes.
How do you know that Trust Bank, they have 3 cashiers?
Yeah, the trade license manager goes there.
How does a trade manager know they have 3 cashiers?
No, he will go and count not cashiers, kiosks. Sorry, kiosks.
No, the law says I think cashiers or chaos. Is it chaos or cashiers?
No, cashiers is the kiosk.
No, it's the cashier. I think I believe.
No, they have 200. They have 200 cashiers. But
my head,
Yes.
on top of my head, I believe I have seen in the act. We can verify that.
yeah, we'll verify that. But I think it's the cubicle that the cashier is. Cubicle 1, cubicle 2, cubicle 3, cubicle 4. It's
Not
the cashier terminals.
Not the carers. It appears to be the cashier, but that's not really.
Yeah, the same
Because
thing.
if you have 3 or 4 carers,
Yes.
but only 2 cashiers,
No, it's the chaos. It's the chaos that you count.
can we cross-check with the License Act?
Yes. Can I connect anywhere? Where can I connect?
It is here. It says, License Act Amendment of Second Schedule, Order 2019. Financial institutions,
Yes.
banks, with $5,000.
Yes.
So it says with 5 or more cashiers, $450,000 in the year, right?
Yes.
Banks with 4 cashiers, $350,000, and banks with 1 to 3 cashiers, $300,000. Then you have microfinance institutions, $100,000, foreign exchange bureau, $25,000, money transfer dealers, $15,000, insurance companies, $75,000, insurance brokers or agents, $15,000, and housing scheme financiers. That's non-bank, $1 million. Yes, $1 million. So that's for the financial institution. So it's cashiers.
Yes, but you count the cashiers that are in their cubicles. Because
I'm saying.
yes, because if you're cashiers, all banks have more than 100 cashiers.
No,
Yes.
see, it is for the cashiers. They are not saying the number of cashiers employed.
Yes.
This means the number of cashiers that are working.
Yes. In their cubicles.
Now forget the chaos.
Yes.
Because someone can decide to sit somewhere and they don't have a chaos. There may be a requirement that there must be a chaos in a bank.
No, but banks cannot do that.
No, I'm
my
just
brother.
trying to
Yes,
help
yes,
you to
yes.
understand.
Yes.
It. I'm just saying.
Yes.
Because maybe that's why the reason why you thought it has to be chaos. Because
Yes.
if you have 5 chaos, you see it several times.
Yes.
You go to a bank.
Yes.
There are 5 chaos, but then there are only 3 active cashiers.
Yes, but we
How
still,
do you deal with that?
we deal that there are 6 because it's the 5 that we see visible. Although C does not come to work today, but it's a cashier point.
So you invoice for the number of carers they have instead,
Exactly, thank you.
as opposed to the number of cashiers
Yeah,
they
exactly,
have.
exactly.
And what is the reason?
Because the reason is, if you put like Baber Finance and Insurance and all that, yeah, you invoice them the way you invoice Trust Bank. The clouds are not the same. They are not the same banking frequency.
No. Let's limit ourselves to banks.
Yes,
They have 5 carers, but they only have 3 cashiers.
yes.
What are you invoicing?
We are invoicing the kiosks.
The carers.
Yeah, because a case of example is Guarantee Trust.
Right.
You know, they have 2 stations in Banjul.
Right.
Yeah, we go to the first station, count the kiosks, invoice them, go to the second kiosk, invoice them. So,
Okay.
yes,
All right.
thank you.
So then there should not be a problem.
No.
So for every year they will have to pay a certain amount of money until the number of chaos increases or decreases.
Yeah, with the banks, they are very compliant, and they're very compliant. They are very helpful, because even when I took over, and then sold to the B.C.C management.
Yes.
That we also needed to
Yes.
we also needed to reform
Yes.
our partial cost recovery, which is the Malik section. At least try to get
Yes.
an acting unit manager,
Yes.
and then also all businesses also to partake in the collection of garbage within Banjul.
Right.
Before 2020, before I went there,
Yes.
the banks were paying 7,000 per annum for collection of garbage.
Right.
But we approached them in a letter to say that with our situation and with waste management being an interesting topic in Banjul and by far the Gambia,
Yes.
we like banks to pay more. In the end, banks comply and they are paying 100,000. Each bank now is paying 100,000 to B.C.C for the partial cost recovery.
So we have
Yes.
communications. It says,
Ask. You talked about bulk cash.
Yes, bulk cash, yes.
Yes, and you're talking about this
Chaos.
issue of chaos.
Yes.
But do you realize that some of these banks, in their bulk cash, they have more than one cashier? In an event, you walk into the bank and you're doing your inspection or you're doing your assessment.
Yes.
And you go to bulk cash and you realize that there are always more than 2 cashiers. What do you do in that instance?
Yes, we
Because
just...
my understanding
Yes.
of what you said earlier is that if they have 5 tellers, that is the cubicles, you tell them it's not 5, but
It's 6,
6,
yes.
because you've included one
Yeah, bulk cash,
from
yes.
bulk
Yes,
cash.
yes.
But
Yeah, but
do you agree that there are banks that have more than one cashier in the bulk cash?
yes, there could even be 4 cashiers, but the
Yes.
bulk cash section,
Yes.
bulk cash,
You treat it as one?
yes, we treat as one. Yes.
Yes, I wanted that
Yes,
clarification.
okay, thank you, ma'am.
Patrick, you may continue.
thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Communications. It says telecommunication companies, the fixed line operators. What does that mean?
Fixed line competitors is only one. We only have one in the Gambia, which is Gamtel. Which
Gamtel.
is the line that you kering. That's fixed line. You're going to move with it.
And so they pay $1 million.
Yes.
So you have the communication companies, GSM network operators, wireless station.
Thank you. GSM, AfriCell, QCell, Comium.
They have, how about the satellite station?
Yes. Because again, we are constrained. Because when these GSM companies mount their satellites, they don't inform council, or very few of them will tell you that I have disclosure, the disclosure element to say that these are my components, charge me. Businessmen will never do that. So it's up to us to go around town.
Yes.
But for me, if I spot anything, I send them, I say, no, there's something new. There's something new somewhere in Afdai. Go and check it. And
You can go and verify and inspect.
Yeah, exactly.
And then make your
Exactly.
your of course, your verification.
Yes.
To know exactly how much, and it should be periodic verification because they may companies they improve.
Yeah,
It grow.
it grows. But what is happening? What is happening? I think our oversight big brothers like the Public Service Commission and the Ministry. It is to them that Camara has spent 5 years at B.C.C. He needs to go to Kuntawuru. But you stay in the position as Director of Finance 20 years and you build your cabal. The CEO stays there, Director of Finance stays there, the Director of Planning stays there, and in the end,
They were uncomfortable.
it's a problem. So move people either horizontally or vertically. But people cannot stay and build empires, and they become more powerful than the formal institution. And that's what is happening in councils. And again, all these businesses, they hire savvy people. Like if you go to Jar Oil, you hire chartered accountants, hire good people, and they do a good job for you. But with councils, you cannot even go and confront Mohammed Jar and tell him, Jar, you have an art station here, you have a satellite mounted here, you have this, you have an addition this here.
Mr. Camara, it's not like they can't go and confront. They do. If there's anything that we know how to do, is to make an attempt to collect our debts. But
Yes.
if there's anything in addition to that, what we can do is to negotiate and think about our pockets as well.
Yes, but if
So
you have,
it's not by chance.
yeah, but if you have a CEO that definitely cares about the institution,
They care. They care about their pockets.
just look at it. Trade license. The last 3 are relegated, like the premiership. The last 3 are relegated. You know that if I perform the last 3, I'm going to the market $10 a ticket. So you will redouble of your effort. But again, you have Mustafa AB card. You don't do anything. You don't collect. You come, I take you to market. Mayor tell you book of file, stay here, and then you are in for Mustafa AB card to be an election candidate to go against
My problem with
somebody that you want that seat. So at the end of the day, where do we fall? Where is CEO in all this?
My problem with you for this part of revenue collection is that you don't seem to understand how it is run. You don't seem to, you think probably that people don't do what they have to do because of incapacity. That is true. That is a fact. It's not the primary reason. The primary reason is, you see, even the person that do not have a degree, they understand that they have to collect $1 million from X. And they know X company understands that they have to pay $1 million. Like you said, they have the right people
Yes.
in these offices.
Yes.
They employ the right
Yes.
professionals
Yes.
who will tell them how much is to be paid for XYZ taxes.
Exactly.
But they know how to evade. And that is the difference.
Yes.
And that is what you don't seem to understand a bit.
I do.
They know, no, seriously, because they know how to evade. So if Momodou is paying $500,000, so let me just say QCell, to be fair to Momodou. If QCell is paying $500,000 for so many years, because it's a limited liability company, that's why I'm saying QCell, it's because the person to collect is invoicing them $500,000.
Yes.
And maybe somewhere, if you might separate that from 1.2 million, how much do you have?
$700,000.
$700,000. So if you save the company $300,000 or $400,000, they give you 300 or thereabout. That's a good deal.
Yes.
It's a win-win situation.
I concur.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I concur.
what suffers is the people of Banjul City Council and the Gambia at large. So you have satellite stations, you have commercial radio stations, and the list goes on. And so for you look at all these components, so you look at the institution and where they fall, and you tabulate that, and then you have exactly how much you're going to invoice.
Exactly. And then,
right?
and then we wanted to, in 2024, we wanted to perfect it. For me, I wanted to leave that legacy, that let's get it right and move on.
Let me just conclude on the issue of the invoicing. We have a lot of food for the sample of the invoice that you have shown the commission. A lot of food. Where do they fall? Do I give you this, or would you want it on your laptop to see?
Yes. Just,
where do they fall? Which component?
Lot of food will fall under general trader.
General trader.
Yes. And then it's attaching subsections of where
Small scale?
do they have, no, big. They're
Large
big.
scale?
Yes, a large scale.
But we see a lot of food being invoiced $25,000.
Thank you very much. There you go.
Here it says large scale is $100,000. Medium scale, $60,000.
100,000 they should pay, a lot of food.
No, but let's even go by the minimum to be on the safe side.
No.
Large scale says $100,000. It's a business with goods valued at $5 million. Medium scale for between 3.5 to 5 million, $60,000. And for small scale, businesses below 3.5 million is $35,000. They have an invoice for $25,000
It's wrong.
below the bare minimum.
It's wrong.
And it's not wrong. It's illegal.
Yes,
and
illegal.
Unlawful.
Yes.
And corrupt practices. To say it's wrong would assume it probably may be an honest. So in this business, we use words like illegal, unlawful, corruption, fraudulent. These are the words we use. Conversion. Yes.
Okay.
So that's the thing. So you go to same with.
Sorry, let me just ask you. Mr. Camara,
Yes, ma.
the assessment,
Yes.
for the assessment to be honestly done, how do you arrive at estimating a particular business as being, for instance, a business of 5 million or 4 million? Because based on the evidence we have received over
Over the period.
period. We are told by some witnesses that they go to the premises and they look at the shop and make assessment. Now, my question is, would that not be a subjective assessment of that business entity?
Highly subjective.
Sorry?
It's very subjective, highly subjective.
So, didn't you think of a way of making sure that at least you have an understanding based on data or record as to the probable, the most likely exact quantum of business that this person has in monetary?
Yes. Yeah, yes. I think the drafters, the legal draftsmen that drafted these beautiful instruments are pinning it on turnover.
Yes.
Turnover is sales.
Yes.
You go to a business, tell him, Emeka and Co. By next week, I am the trade license manager of Banjul City Council. By next week, I would like to look at your bank statement or your bank statements to be able to know what's your turnover. And Emeka could tell you that disclosure. Some people are very honest. They tell you, I'm a big business. 100,000 I'll pay. So you the one invoicing, you need to be up for the task to know what do you ask to get information. The information we have to derive from them. Can I see your bank statements? Because you are mandated by law to go after businesses and invoice them. If they are hiding their profit and loss account, income and expenditure, the bank statements will say it. But I don't think businessmen, they don't have time. They will not go there with you. So what I will do, I sit in the office, I don't go in the field, but I'll call them sometime, I say, invoice them by default, put everything 100,000. All this textile, put everything 100,000. What I don't know is, go and follow how many warehouses and stores they have. They say, boss, but they're going to, I say, no, put it there. If they are genuine, they'll not come back. And if they are not genuine, tell them to come to the Director of Finance. But they never turn up. What they do is to pay. So put them at the ceiling and look at the east.
Council, you may proceed.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Camara, even though I wouldn't agree with that approach, I think when institutions fail, they fail. They fail for what they prioritize, individuals' interests, but then the businesses too. You know, we have to encourage the businesses. We have to encourage investment. So you sometimes you realize you overtax these people because of you're trying to solve a problem, genuine problem, and so it may end up frustrating some businesses as well. So the right thing to do is to have a proper approach to understanding and evaluating these business. There should be a way to really assess the value of each business, because they'll be registered.
That's
and
true.
they have to follow the number process, so you know each value, and the value has to be yearly. The revenue assessment should be yearly.
Yes.
But council don't engage in revenue. I ask this question all the time, proper revenue assessment.
Yes.
Because you have to value every business at least once every year. Because a business that's valued at 5 million or 3 million may be valued at 20 million the following year, or less than 5 million or 3 million the subsequent year. It depends. They grow and then.
Council, I couldn't agree more with what you have said.
Yeah.
But again, businessmen will never stop crying, even if they are swimming in it. They will still want to save money. So at the end of the day,
that's why you value the business.
Yes.
That's why you value. You have the correct.
Yes.
Like the tailoring shops, the chairperson resident the other day, the number of machines they have, the type of machines they have. If you don't value them, how would you know? You would not know. You may even, in fact, be charging less than what you're supposed to. That's number one. Number two, you open the floodgates for the revenue collectors and the managers to be going and negotiating with these individuals. You know you're supposed to pay this amount of money, but just give me this amount, I'll give you this exact. So if you look at the invoice alone, even where it appears to be a legitimate one, it may correspond to a normal invoice for, let's say, a 2 machine for Brode when they have 10 machines for Brode, and no one goes to check.
Yeah, I think as Director of Finance, we just needed to start, and we perfect the system as we go, because we need to learn on the system. But this one was sine qua non if we are serious with revenue.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So, okay, that's unless there are questions for the license, we will go to the other issues. Mr. Camara, the Moroccan fund we were talking about?
Yes, the Moroccan fund, we know, if you look at I have said it, I'm going to say it again, the Finance and Audit Act of Local Government Councils say all projects of council, all projects should come to council.
Yes.
If you are able to negotiate a project in your capacity as a lead council, if you were not,
I am not going to negotiate a project.
if you were not a lead council, you would not have been able to
I will always be a council.
lay hands on those businesses. So
yes.
We know the Moroccan fund is in B.C.C, but there is nothing, whether with files or communication or.
What is this Moroccan fund first, to start with?
Moroccan fund, that's all I know. And then I will rely on General Council minutes
yes.
that's been supplied by the Lord Mayor, and that's where I know there is a Moroccan fund. And then I also heard in the corridors that they are doing some renovation at the Albert Market.
Let me read what you wrote,
yes.
and then we can take it up from there.
Yes, yes.
In your statement, it reads, regarding council's funds being expended on renovation of the Albert Market, apart from normal maintenance as per our budget allocation, I am not aware. However, there is a Moroccan fund that is doing some structural works at the Albert Market, and there is a limited financial and operational data as far as my position is concerned. I know there are funds and funding from the Moroccan fund, and interestingly, it is not under the supervision of the Finance Directorate, and its activities should have been treated like any project under council, but it is not. The CEO and the mayor should be in a better position to explain the nature, amount, and conditions of the fund. So there is some financing in relation to the structural works at the Albert Market.
That's true.
Okay.
And that's
this is not brought to the
council
level of council, or to, let me say, to the notice of the Director of Finance,
exactly.
who has primary
yes.
custody together with the CEO of the accounts of council.
That's right.
Good.
And
so,
I will supply here General Council meeting minutes mentioning the Moroccan fund.
Let me see. We apply to tender minutes of meetings of the General Council. The date is 11th of July 2023. With the agenda, visit of the Mayor of Miami, USA, visit of the Mayor of Morocco, state of affairs of Banjul, in bracket, raining season. These minutes were signed by Mr. Babakar Nyang, admin assistant, and Aji Rohi Malik Lo, Lord Mayor, to be admitted into evidence and marked as an exhibit.
General Council meeting minutes dated 11th of July 2023. The said minutes are signed by Babukar Nyang and Ajirohi Malik Lo. It is copied to the Lord Mayor, Chief Executive Officer, Director of Admin, Director of Finance, Director of Planning and Development, Director of Internal Audit, and a file copy is maintained. Also attached to the minutes dated the 11th of July 2023, it's another General Council meeting minutes dated the 19th of July 2023. And these minutes are also signed by Mr. Babukar Nyang as Admin Assistant and Aji Rohim Malik Lo, Lord Mayor. It is copied to the Lord Mayor, CEO, Director of Admin, Director of Finance, Director of Planning and Development, Director of Internal Audit, and a file copy is maintained. These documents are admitted in evidence as exhibit and they are marked as LGC/BCC/MC in bracket 1/019.
As the commission pleases. Yes, so this Moroccan fund you know nothing about. Yes, Commissioner Sella.
Mr. Camara, when we say the mayor of Morocco, what does that mean? It's just saying that the mayor of the Gambia doesn't have a mayor. So is the Moroccan mayor from Fars or from Casablanca or somewhere?
Yeah, it still comes back to the presentation long problem that we've been lamenting in councils. Lack of capacity. When people write, they need to write what is correct and clear.
Yeah, but did you venture to ask them which city in Morocco is the mayor coming from?
Yeah, as Director of Finance, sometimes when I came in council at newly in 2021, we were invited to general council meetings, and after 3 months, it was stopped. And then that is, in B.C.C, they have a way to manage information, contain information.
Okay,
and,
in short, you don't know which city in Morocco
yes.
the
I don't know
mayor is
anything.
coming from.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other? Mr. Camara, so you've had funds were received from the this Moroccan fund.
Yep.
And you don't know how it was managed?
No.
Okay. The CEO will be in a good position to answer the
Yeah,
question.
exactly.
And yes, you are right. It is stated in the minutes of the meeting, the exhibit marked as LGC B.C.C /MC in the bracket 1/019 for the date 11th of July 2023. Now, lawyers, legal fees. You have had counsel legal representation?
Yes.
When you came in, who was your lawyer?
Usus Jembas, Sasum Silla.
Is there any other lawyer that counsel have worked with in this period that you were there as Director of Finance?
Yes. What happened was Sasum is our found to be our legal retainer. But when there are legal suits or counsel is sued or counsel sued, there are always some other lawyers that are hired.
Why? You already have a retainer with Sasum Silla.
Yes.
Counsel. So why would other lawyers be hired?
The CEO should explain that. I'm not in a position to.
Do you know the process?
No.
Who pays these lawyers? You pay them?
Yes, we do.
How do you pay them? What would you rely on to pay them? Documentation-wise.
Documentation-wise, they will send an invoice, or they will send whatever document that will ask for and outline the job that they have done for Banjul City Council.
But they must have had
to the CEO, and the CEO will need
authorized
to
payment.
pay.
But before that, there has to be what would trigger their contracts, because there is a procedure to hire lawyers.
Yes.
You understand that? So you have a retainer already, even though you were not in a position to, you will not be in a position to discuss how the retainership came about, because you were not in council at that time, correct?
Yes, that's true.
Yes, but this we will ask Mr. Bacheli. But that person now should be the outside counsel, the retained counsel, to do all these works. So if there are other lawyers to be hired, they should also probably fall within the same procurement process. Assuming Ms. Silla was services were procured in accordance with the Procurement Act and regulations. So do you not ask how the council came about contracting those individuals?
Yeah, if you ask, it could mean or send a signal that is insubordination, or you are not minding your business, or
No,
this.
that will be in line with your job.
Yes. Yeah. For me, I don't enter into
the financial manual requires that payments to be authorized must follow due process.
Yes, that's true.
And it also stressed that all payments must follow the Procurement Act and regulations strictly. You use the words.
I concur. But again, I think if anybody is hired as a CEO, all of us, you are the fountain that we should drink from in knowledge and exposure and all that. When it comes to finance, I'll advise you.
Yes.
But when it comes to administration and hiring lawyers and all that, I
How
think
many lawyers did you know that whose services were hired during the period you were there?
in my time, I think we've, apart from SASUM, we've only dealt with Dandemayo Chambers.
Dandemayo Chambers.
Yes.
In your time, that is what you can remember.
Yes, that's what I can remember. Yes.
Okay.